I'm David Hanson, and I've had the privilege and honor to be with our youth on our Popcorn Theology. I was grateful to hear that it's actually catching on in the community. I had Mark Zimmerman through Carolyn Dr. Hofer that I practice with at the VA clinic. They're interested in starting their own Popcorn Theology, and we'll be helping them set that up. As Barb has already explained to you, Popcorn Theology deals with contemporary movies, but they're taken bit by bit. And our youth show incredible insight. They can understand a protagonist, an agonist, bad situations, and they can see the worst of humanity, but they can also see the grandeur of humanity. On Chicken Run, maybe some of you have seen it. It's a stop animation, and you can see some of the characters there. But basically, it's a story about a group of chickens that really have no future. And so they decide that they need to move on. And so the concept of Exodus, was brought up with Chicken Run. And we all are familiar with the biblical story of the Exodus, but there are modern day exoduses that are going on. Next slide. Okay. The inside of this is very difficult. I wasn't introduced to this till I was in college, and our youth surprised us by understanding that, first of all, people, in order to exist, must have safety, the security, stability, and freedom from fear. And we see many hotspots around the world where that is indeed not the case. But if that is there, then you can begin to see that you can have a sense of belonging and love. And then the most important thing is, in that environment, people can develop self-esteem and develop self-actualization with that. And when that cannot happen, oftentimes an exodus will occur. Next slide. Sometimes when we see the problems of the world, it's very hard for us to feel that our impact is going to affect the world in one way. But we grasp the concept that we have a sphere of control that we can impact in, locally here in our church, in our community, our schools, and so forth, to show the meaning of dignity and human worth, the idea of living a life of service, compassion, and love. And our sphere of influence, just locally, will begin to impact a wider and wider circle. Next slide. Okay. We had an exercise where the youth had a pile of newspapers, and they were looking through all of the headlines of the various problems around the world. And what attracted them most is the exodus that we see from Syria. As you all are aware of, this is known right now as the worst humanitarian crisis of all time. There were 22 million people living in Syria before the war. 1/2 have had to flee their homes. That's 11 million people uprooted. That averages 50 families an hour, and it continues to go. Over 4.5 million have crossed into other countries. In Lebanon, every 5th person is a refugee. Most are not fleeing from ISIS, but there are many factors, as David Norland has mentioned, climate change. But most of the people are fleeing from President Assad's troops, and as you know, he is backed up by Iran and Russia. There are 2 million children living under siege or in areas where aid and health organizations cannot reach. Some have starved to death, some have been tortured to death. Many children have died in the battles. Over 1/4 of a million people have been killed. 1/3 of those have been civilians, and over 13,000 children. The UN, of course, has requested over $8 billion to spend on this humanitarian crisis, and they've unfortunately achieved less than half. And as we can see in the news, it looks like that there's no resolution of this conflict in sight.
One thing that you need to know about this skit that these kids are doing is that it was completely developed by them.
Aleppo is the largest city in Syria, a country south of Turkey. Currently, Syrian rebels barely hold Aleppo and surrounding territory. Daily, it is bombed by Russian jet fighters and shelled by King Assad's troops. Refugees from this war-torn country can only escape through Turkey. King Assad's troops control the coast. ISIS controls the south and east. Once into Turkey, refugees make their way on a long and arduous journey to the coast of Turkey and attempt to raft or boat across to the Greek islands. These islands are usually Lesbos or Kos. From there, they apply for asylum and are ferried to mainland Greece, hoping to later migrate north. This exodus is fraught with many perils. People are often robbed of their possessions, die of hunger or disease, or through exposure to the elements. Criminal gangs operate the boats and rafts, and they often take the remaining resources of refugees. This is the story of Farah, a young Syrian girl from Aleppo. Scene 1 opens with Farah running down a street in Aleppo to her home. She finds the front part of her home partially demolished. Her mother is in the shattered home crying.
Mother, what has happened? Alhamdulillah, thanks are to Allah that you are safe. I was so worried about you with all the bombing today. Where is father? Your father was killed when our home was struck by the bombs this morning. Papa? Papa is dead? What will we do? People in town say the soldiers of King Assad are coming. They too will hurt us. We must leave this town. We have no family left to help us. They have all been killed. I have packed what we can take. We must leave now. We must leave our only home? Oh, is it, Mama? Is it the only way? I know, inshallah, God willing, we will make it to Turkey in a new life. We will travel and support each other.
Scene 2 opens with Farah laying exhausted with her head in her mother's lap. Her mother gently strokes her hair and sings her favorite lullaby.
يلا تنام لينا يلا يجي هالنوم يلا تحب السلام يلا تحب الصوم يلا تجي هالعوافي كل يوم بيوم.
After a time, the boat bell is heard, signaling the arrival of the boats.
Wake up, Farah. We must hurry and board the boat. What is this? It is a life preserver. You will wear it in the boat to keep you safe. How does it work? How does it go on? But where is yours? After paying our fare, I could only afford one for you, my little daughter, but I will be all right. We both will be all right, inshallah.
They walked to the shoreline while carrying their belongings.
Mother, there are so many people. Are the boats large enough to hold us all? Oh my.
Come along, people. We must get into the boats and travel quickly, or the Coast Patrol will be coming along and stop us. We'll take these. You must leave all your belongings behind. The boat is too crowded as it is.
Sadly, the boat that Mother and Farah traveled in encountered an unexpected squall. The boat capsized and sank. Farah's mother, like so many other passengers, was lost to the sea. Farah is all alone in the water. Exhausted and cold, she barely clings to a piece of wood and is drifting sadly to the Greek island of Telos. She stirs as she hears the sound of a barking dog. Two men are walking on the beach, accompanied by their dog.
Oh, it's more driftwood coming in from the storm. Stop barking at it. It's just floating debris.
Mark, it moved. I think it must be a bundle. I think it must be a bundle of cloth. Oh, it moved. I think it's a person.
Nathan, you're right. Max, go fetch that person.
Max the dog swims to Farah, grabs onto her life vest, and paddles hard, bringing her to shore. Mark wades out to help bring Farah to the dry beach.
Nathan, it's a little girl, but yes, she's alive.
It's all right, little one. You are safe. You are on the island of Telos. She feels so cold. We must quickly get her warm and into dry clothing.
Just then, a group of people from town joined them on the beach. One can speak her language.
We heard that a group of boats capsized and broke up. There are several other survivors up and down the coast. Do you have a survivor?
Yes, we have a little girl. She's shivering and has not said much so far. We need to get her warm.
I have a blanket. Let's take her to the first aid station.
Mark and Nathan take her to the first aid station where a medical team looks her over.
Her temperature is a little low. Thankfully, the cold water did not kill her. The dry clothing and warmth is helping her.
Yes, nurse. Let's see if she can take some warm tea and a light vegetable broth to help her warm her up. Hopefully, she will be able to talk to us soon.
Sitting up, looking still frightened but aware that for now she is safe and warm, she looks at Mark and Nathan and speaks.
I am Farah. I am from Apollo. I went on a boat to Turkey with my mother. Is my mother here?
Farah, we will look for her, but I fear she is lost. We will keep looking for her. The officials say that you can stay with us. And Max too.
Farah was one of the few lucky refugees. She was taken in by Mark and Nathan as foster parents. They were visiting Telos from Canada, and they looked forward to taking her back to their home, introducing her to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, where many Muslims were already welcome and attended there. They knew that Farah needed to be reunited with her culture, and that could be done in their fellowship with other Syrian refugees in Canada. In time, Mark and Nathan were able to adopt Farah. This new daughter for Mark and Nathan brought much love and joy to their household. Farah studied hard in school, but loved to come home and play with Max, the dog that saved her life. Alhamdulillah.